Hi everyone, I'm Felicita, the creator of Doodlez Studio and Doodlez Toons. In today's video, I'm doing something a little different, a fun and random creative art activity where I'll turn one of my favorite anime, Osomatsu-san, into a comic strip fanfiction. It's always so much fun creating anime and cartoon, fanfiction comic strips, and while I'm working on it, I'll also be sharing a little story and explaining my process along the way. So for those of you who don't know or aren't familiar with Osomatsu-san, it's actually an anime that originally started back in the 1960s, then had new versions in the 1980s, 2010s, and even continues today. It became a big hit over the years. Osomatsu-san is a slice of life serial comedy, parody, and sitcom anime that tells the story of six brothers who have all grown up to become neats, meaning they don't work or study. And each brother has their own unique and funny personality. The series follows their everyday lives and sometimes totally made up adventures together. Okay, so I'm going to create Osomatsu-san fanfiction comic strip titled The Fanboys. It's a short story about the Matsuno brothers discovering a fairy boys meet and greet poster on a wall outside during Comic-Con. In this story, Koromatsu gets super excited because he's finally going to meet the fairy boys, something he's been dreaming about his whole life. But then Koromatsu starts teasing him for being such a big fan. And of course, Koromatsu gets annoyed and hits him, telling Koromatsu not to judge something by its cover. As you can see here, this is how I usually make my comics, including fanfiction comics or any other comics panel. In my process, I start with a rough sketch for both the background and the characters, each on different layers. Then I move on to inking using with a heavy line weight G-pen brush pen. After that, I add the speech bubbles and comic text. And then I begin coloring, starting with the base colors for the background and the characters. Once that's done, I move on to adding different colors details with clipping mask, and finally shading the characters to bring everything to life. I always do my best when drawing backgrounds, even though it's not really my stronger skill. So sometimes I like to ask my best friend Fido, who's an expert environment designer, to help me out, especially when I'm working on animation projects that include detailed backgrounds. And here it is. I've turned my favorite anime Osomatsu-san into a fanfiction comic strip. Alright, that's all for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you think of my Osomatsu-san fanfiction comic strip. And don't forget to like this video if you enjoy it. Stay tuned for more art content, and as always, stay creative and stay inspired. Subscribe to Toons Studio, where original animation and imagination come to life.